Now, I feel compelled in the midst of this controversy about Islam versus Muslims and what you can, should criticize and what you shouldn't, to tell you the most obvious things in the world, because apparently a lot of people don't get it. So there's this idea that some Muslim countries, well, they believe that you should have draconian punishments against apostates like me. I'm an ex-Muslim. I left Islam. That's because I don't believe in Islam, which I feel like I've said 100 times in the last couple of days, right? That's why I actively left the religion. Now, if you'd like to see if I speak out against Islamic fundamentalists, have at it, Hoss. Our YouTube channel is filled with my rage against Islamic fundamentalists for anywhere from, you name it, the female genital mutilation, the honor killings, the beheadings, every radical act we've gone nuts about on this show. In fact, I don't know any outlet that was talking about Boko Haram before we were, or ISIS before we were, okay? We've been on those guys and we've been telling you how dangerous and radical they are throughout. Now, my issue, of course, is when you say those guys are horrible, then you say, well, it extends to all Muslims, because some Muslim countries agree with some portion of radical Islam. So that must mean that all Muslim nations are guilty and hence all Muslims are guilty. Now that's counterfactual, as we've explained on other shows. But when you explain facts and statistics to people, sometimes they get it, sometimes their eyes glaze over, or sometimes they just don't want to listen to it. So let me tell you stories about people I know, because apparently people need to hear this. All right, so as an ex-Muslim, I have family who are Muslim, right? In fact, I have a lot of them. Almost my entire family is Muslim. So I pick people at random, just whoever jumped to the top of my head when I was thinking about it. My uncle Muhtar, he's my mom's older brother. What does he do? Well, this scary, dangerous Muslim likes to take pictures of sunsets, flowers, streams, other bodies of water, and then he puts it on the internet, and then people vote on it. And when his picture comes in number one, he gets really excited. He did radical Islam. If I told my uncle, well, what do you think of radical Islam? He would say what almost every Turk I know would say, Allah belallarını versin, which means literally, may God damn them. Okay. If you go to Uncle Muhtar and you say, hey, what are you up to today? He's like, oh, I'm going to take more pictures. He's so respected now in the picture-taking community, which I didn't realize existed, but I'm sure I should have recognized that, right? In the world, that when other people see him, they go, Hoja, means like teacher. Teacher, tell us how to take pictures. If you said to him, hey, what are you doing to fight radical Islam? He'd be like, I don't know, was I supposed to be doing something? I mean, he's what now? He's almost 70 years old. He's like, what am I didn't know I was supposed to do something. I was taking pictures of flowers, right? I got my Aunt Ushel, who's a family friend. She's my best friend's mom. We used to live in the apartment building and right next to one another, right? And we'd go play literally ball, chess, backgammon, everything at her house. And she used to cook my favorite, what we call creme caramel, flan. And every time I went back to Turkey to visit, she would cook me the same flan. She doesn't want to come to America. Why? Dangerous Muslim? No, she's a socialist, and she thinks America's capitalism is ruining the world. Okay. Now, we have people up here in headdresses. Now, most of the people I know don't wear headdresses that are Muslim. If you try to put my Aunt Ushel in a headdress, you'd have some problems on your hands. Okay. Under penalty of law, she would not put that thing on. Okay. See, there are different kinds of Muslims. When you've told these people, hey, you know what? Are you Muslim? They say, of course I am. What do you? If I ask you, are you a Christian? If you're a Christian, what do most Christians say? Well, of course I'm a Christian. What do you mean? Are you trying to impute that I don't believe in God, that I don't have faith? My great aunt Melek, what does she like to do? She likes to cook kibbeh, and she likes to talk a lot. Everybody loves her, but she talks a lot. Maybe like an aunt you have who likes to cook cookies, but talks too much or talks too little. Is this boring you? I'm trying to bore you. They're normal people. They're not all radical Muslims trying to bomb people. But you see, when you think of Christians, you think of Christians you know. When you think of Jews, you think of Jews you know. And you think of Uncle Bob, and you think about, Aunt Harriet, right? But when you think of Muslims, you think scary, scary, scary. Oh my God, they're going to do something crazy. No, they're not. They're going to take pictures. They're going to bake flan and kibbeh. Okay? We call it içli köfte. My mom is in business. She's a small business owner. She makes napkins and other home textiles. They've been in Saks Fifth Avenue, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom's. She's going to kill me because I'm not giving you the fancy stores she's in. I remember some of them, and others escape me. Okay. See, she's not actually going to kill me. She makes napkins. Okay. My grandmother is a boastful person. That's probably where I got it from. Okay. She would boast that she was the top dressmaker in her little town in Kilis. Okay. She would also say that she was the prettiest woman in Kilis. That's where my great aunt over her shoulder would go. My great aunt Sabiha is the greatest person anyone who's ever met her has ever met. I don't know anyone who ever met Sabiha Hala who didn't say, God, that's the loveliest woman in the world. If you went to her, she recently passed away, she was 100 years old. If you went to her on her 99th birthday and say, why aren't you fighting radical Islam? She'd be like, I don't know, I was making tea. Of course, they're just like us. Now, that doesn't mean that Islam isn't wrong, just like it doesn't mean Christianity isn't wrong if your favorite Uncle Bob's a really good Christian and he goes to church every Sunday. But there are some bad Christians who do abortion clinic bombings or who start wars in Iraq or who do other terrible things. That doesn't mean Uncle Bob's a bad guy. And if you said all Christians, because of what fundamentalists believe, like they're rooting for Armageddon where we all die, etc., and you said all Christians believe that, well, obviously you'd be wrong. And if you said all Christians were bad guys and they didn't fight the fundamentalists enough, you'd be wrong. What does Uncle Bob have to do with the fundamentalists, right? Well, obviously the same is true of Muslims. Now, would I like to change some parts of Christian culture? Yes, I would. I'm not against fighting against certain parts of culture even, okay? Would I like to change certain parts of Muslim culture? Yes, I would, okay? But that doesn't mean the 1.6 billion practitioners of Islam throughout the world are all guilty. All of this should be incredibly obvious, but we had to do this segment because apparently it isn't.